Chosen ones, evil can't touch you. Here's why. There's something extraordinary about you, isn't there? Maybe you don't even know it yet, but deep down, you've always felt different. Not better, not superior, just different. Like you've been walking through life with an invisible thread pulling you towards something greater, something most people can't see or even comprehend. You might not know why, but you've always felt as though you were chosen for something. And here's the truth: you are. You are a chosen one, not by some external force, not by random chance, but by the very essence of your soul. And because of that, evil, no matter how loud, persistent, or pervasive, can't touch you. Let's explore why. The first thing you need to understand is that being a chosen one doesn't mean life is easier for you. In fact, it's the opposite. The chosen often endure more challenges, more pain, and more tests than those around them. Think about it. Have you ever wondered why your struggles feel so heavy, why your path is so lonely, and why you seem to face battles others can't even imagine? It's not because you're being punished. It's because your soul chose this journey. You were born to carry a light so powerful, so unique, that the darkness will do everything it can to extinguish it. But here's the kicker: it can't. Evil can't touch you because your light isn't something external, it's who you are. And light cannot be destroyed by darkness, it can only be hidden if you allow it. Pause for a moment and think about your life. How many times have you faced situations that should have broken you? How many times have you felt like giving up, only to find some hidden strength within yourself to keep going? That's no coincidence. Chosen ones have a resilience that defies logic. It's as if the universe itself is conspiring to keep you alive, to keep you moving forward, even when you feel like you're walking through fire. But why? Why does the universe care so much about you? Because you're part of something much bigger than yourself. You were chosen to be a vessel of light in a world that sometimes feels like it's drowning in darkness. And as long as you carry that light, evil can never truly harm you. It can try to scare you. It can try to distract you, but it can never touch the core of who you are.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Let's get practical for a second. Have you ever noticed that when you're aligned with your purpose, things just seem to fall into place? You meet the right people, doors open unexpectedly, and life flows in ways that feel almost magical. That's because when you embrace your role as a chosen one, you step into a frequency that evil cannot access. Imagine tuning a radio to a station that only plays uplifting, empowering music. No matter how much static exists on other stations, it can't interfere with your signal. That's what happens when you align with your light. You create a protective field around yourself that repels negativity, fear, and manipulation. But let's be real, this doesn't mean you'll never face challenges. In fact, the more you step into your power, the more the darkness will try to pull you back. It might show up as self-doubt, as toxic relationships, or as unexpected obstacles. But here's the secret: those challenges aren't there to harm you. They're there to strengthen you. Think of them as weights in a spiritual gym. Every time you overcome a challenge, you grow stronger, more resilient, and more unshakable. And the stronger you become, the less power evil has over you. Now, let me ask you a question. Have you ever felt like you were being watched? Not in a creepy, paranoid way, but in a way that makes you feel like something is always keeping an eye on you, guiding you, protecting you. That's not your imagination. Chosen ones are never truly alone. Call it God, the universe, your higher self, or your ancestors. There's always a force watching over you, ensuring that you stay on your path. And because of that, evil can't touch you. It can try to distract you, but it can't derail you. It can try to scare you, but it can't break you. You are divinely protected, not because you're special in an egotistical sense, but because your mission is special. And that mission is something only you can fulfill. So, what's your mission? That's for you to discover. But here's a hint. It's not about saving the world in some grand, dramatic way. It's about being fully, unapologetically you. It's about sharing your light in whatever way feels authentic to you, whether that's through your art, your words, your actions, or simply your presence. You see, chosen ones don't have to shout their light from the rooftops. They just have to shine, and the world will naturally be drawn to them. That's why evil can't touch you. It thrives on fear, on chaos, and on control. But when you're anchored in your light, you're untouchable. You don't need to fight the darkness because your very existence dissolves it. Take a moment and breathe that in. Let it sink into your soul. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to trust that you were chosen for a reason. And as long as you stay true to yourself, evil will never touch you. It can't. It's not in its nature. Darkness can only exist where there is no light, and you, my friend, are pure light. The armor of light, how your energy makes you untouchable. Let's take this deeper. Have you ever thought about what it truly means to be untouchable? Not in a superficial way, but in the most profound, energetic sense. To be untouchable is to move through this world with a kind of invisible armor, an armor that doesn't come from fear or aggression, but from an unshakable connection to your inner light. This light, your essence, is what makes you immune to evil. It's not a force you wield like a weapon, but something you embody. And the more you understand this, the more you realize that you don't need to fight darkness, you simply need to shine. But here's the thing: the world will test you. It will try to convince you that your light isn't enough. It will throw fear, doubt, and chaos in your path, hoping you'll forget who you are. Because when you forget, when you disconnect from your light, that's when you become vulnerable. So the real question isn't whether evil can touch you. It can't. The question is, will you let it convince you otherwise? Think about this for a moment. Everything in this world operates on energy. Every thought, action, and emotion carries a vibration. Fear vibrates low, while love vibrates high. Darkness thrives in low vibrations, feeding off fear, anger, and despair. But you, as a chosen one, operate on an entirely different frequency. Your light is like a beacon, emitting a vibration so high that darkness can't even come close. Imagine trying to hold a shadow under the midday sun. It's impossible. That's the kind of energy you carry. It's why evil can't touch you, but it's also why it fears you. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to react to your presence? Maybe they become uncomfortable, defensive, or even hostile for no apparent reason. It's not because you've done anything wrong. It's because your light exposes their shadows. Your very existence forces them to confront parts of themselves they'd rather keep hidden. And while some will be drawn to your light, others will resist it. They'll try to dim it, not because they're evil, but because your light reminds them of what they've forgotten about themselves. This is where your armor comes in. Your energy isn't just a shield, it's a mirror. What you emit reflects back to the world around you. If you carry fear, you'll attract fear. But if you stand in your light, you'll radiate a frequency so powerful that nothing low vibrational can stick to you. It's not about being invincible, it's about being unshakable. And that starts with knowing who you are. Ask yourself, who am I when everything is stripped away? When the labels, the roles, and the expectations are gone, what's left? The answer is your light. It's the part of you that existed before this lifetime and will exist long after. It's the eternal, unchanging core of your being. And the more you connect with it, the stronger your armor becomes. But let's be honest, staying connected to your light isn't always easy. The world is loud, chaotic, and often overwhelming. It's full of distractions designed to pull you away from yourself. Social media, news cycles, toxic relationships, they all feed the illusion that you're powerless. But here's the truth, you're never powerless. Your light is always there, waiting for you to return to it. The question is, how do you stay connected? The answer lies in stillness. In a world that thrives on noise, stillness is your superpower. It's in the quiet moments, the pauses between the chaos, that you can hear the voice of your soul. Meditation, prayer, journaling, or simply sitting in silence, these practices aren't just spiritual tools. They're lifelines to your light. They help you remember who you are, even when the world tries to make you forget. And here's something profound to consider: the more you connect with your light, the less effort it takes to protect yourself. You don't need to fight, defend, or prove anything. Your energy does the work for you. It's like walking through a storm with an umbrella. No matter how hard the rain falls, you stay dry because you're carrying your protection with you. But even as you carry this armor, it's important to stay humble. Being a chosen one doesn't make you better than anyone else. It simply means you've remembered something that others have forgotten. And part of your mission is to help others remember, too. Not by preaching or forcing your light on them, but by living it. When people see you standing in your truth, unshaken by fear or negativity, they'll start to wonder, what do they have that I don't? And that curiosity is the first step toward awakening. Let me ask you something: how often do you dim your light to make others comfortable? How often do you hold back your truth because you're afraid of being judged or misunderstood? Every time you do this, you give darkness a foothold, not because it's stronger than you, but because you've forgotten your power. So stop hiding. Stop apologizing for your light. The world needs it now more than ever. Evil can't touch you because it doesn't have access to the frequency you operate on, but it can try to lure you down to its level. It can try to convince you that you're small, powerless, and alone. Don't fall for it. Remember who you are. Remember the light you carry. And remember that as long as you stay connected to that light, you are untouchable. Walking through shadows, why darkness fears your light. Have you ever stopped to wonder why darkness seems so intent on finding you? It's as if, no matter where you go or how much you try to rise above it, challenges, negativity, and even outright hostility always seem to find their way into your path. But here's the truth: it's not because you're weak. It's not because you're cursed or because life is unfair. It's because darkness fears you. It sees your light and knows that if you fully step into your power, it has no chance to survive. You are the chosen one, and what you carry within you, the light, the truth, the raw essence of love, threatens the very foundation of everything darkness thrives on. Darkness isn't an external force. It's not some shadowy figure lurking in the corners, waiting to pounce. Darkness is a vibration, a frequency, and it exists wherever fear, doubt, and separation take root. It's the part of the world, and sometimes the part of ourselves, that has forgotten its connection to the light. That's why it reacts so strongly to you. Your light is a reminder of everything it has lost, everything it could be, but refuses to embrace. And so, it fights. Not because it's stronger than you, but because it knows how fragile it truly is. Picture this: you're walking into a pitch-black room, carrying nothing but a single candle. The moment you step in, the darkness shifts. It can't resist the light, it can't argue with it or negotiate. It simply retreats. That's the power of your light. It doesn't need to fight. It doesn't need to prove itself. It just is. And in its presence, darkness has no choice but to fade. But here's where things get tricky. Darkness knows it can't touch your light directly, so it tries to work around it. It whispers doubts into your mind. You're not good enough. You're too broken. Who are you to think you're special? It shows up in the form of distractions, pulling you away from your purpose with fear, anger, or even comfort. It tries to make you forget who you are because it knows that as long as you remember, it has no power over you. And this is where your greatest challenge lies, not in fighting darkness, but in refusing to forget your light. Because let's be honest, it's easy to forget. The world is full of noise, full of people and systems that thrive on fear and division. They want you to believe that you're small, powerless, and alone. But that's the biggest lie of all. The truth is, you are infinite, you are powerful beyond measure, and you are never alone. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly felt your own power? Not the kind of power that comes from control or dominance, but the quiet, unshakable power of simply being yourself. When was the last time you stood in the center of your own light and felt the truth of who you are? If it's been a while, that's okay. The world has a way of pulling us away from ourselves. But the beautiful thing about your light is that it's always there, waiting for you to come back to it. So, how do you come back to your light when the world feels so heavy? It starts with awareness. Every time you feel fear, doubt, or negativity creeping in, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, is this me? Or is this the darkness trying to distract me? And then remind yourself of the truth. You are not your fear. You are not your doubt. You are the light that sees them, the light that holds space for them, but is never consumed by them. And here's something profound to consider. Even darkness has a purpose. It's not your enemy. It's your teacher. It shows up in your life to test you, to challenge you, to help you grow. Without darkness, you wouldn't know the strength of your light. Without fear, you wouldn't know the courage that lives within you. So instead of fighting the darkness, learn from it. Thank it for the lessons it brings, and then let it go. But what about the people around you, the ones who seem determined to pull you into their darkness? The ones who criticize, manipulate, or try to dim your light? Understand this: their behavior isn't about you. It's about their own shadows. Your light threatens them because it forces them to see parts of themselves they'd rather avoid. And while it's not your job to fix them, it is your responsibility to protect your energy, set boundaries, walk away when you need to, and above all, keep shining. You see, the more you shine, the less power darkness holds, not just over you, but over the world around you. Your light has a ripple effect. Every time you choose love over fear, truth over doubt, and courage over comfort, you inspire others to do the same. And that's what it means to be a chosen one. It's not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about being a living example of what's possible when you stay connected to your light. So the next time darkness tries to pull you down, remember this: it's reacting to your power, not your weakness. It sees what you're capable of, even if you don't, and it's terrified, because deep down, it knows that no matter how hard it tries, it can't touch you. Not really. Your light is eternal, it's untouchable, and as long as you stay connected to it, you are unstoppable. The radiance within embracing your mission as a chosen one. As you stand in your light, you might wonder, why me? Why was I chosen? Why does my path feel so heavy, so lonely at times? These questions are natural, but the answer lies not in something external, but in the very core of who you are. You are a chosen one because your soul volunteered for this. Long before you came into this life, you knew what you were signing up for. You knew the challenges, the tests, and the weight of it all. But you also knew the reward, the opportunity to be a beacon in a world that desperately needs light. And now, here you are. Whether you realize it or not, You've been preparing for this mission your entire life. The first step in fully embracing your mission is understanding that being chosen doesn't mean you're here to save the world. You're not here to fix everything or everyone. That's not your role. Your role is to embody your truth, to live as an example of what's possible when someone fully steps into their light. The world doesn't need more saviors. It needs more people who are willing to be themselves authentically, unapologetically, and courageously. That's how you create change. Not through force, but through presence. But let's be honest, living this way isn't easy. The world can be a harsh, chaotic place, and it often feels like the odds are stacked against you. You'll face resistance, both from within and from outside. Your own mind might try to convince you that you're not enough, that you're too broken, too flawed, too small to make a difference. And the world around you might echo those doubts, throwing obstacles and negativity in your path. But here's the thing, every time you overcome those challenges, you grow stronger. Every time you choose to trust your light, even when it feels like the hardest thing to do, you step closer to your purpose. Let me ask you something, what does your light feel like? Not what it looks like, but what it feels like. When you close your eyes and tune into the deepest part of yourself, what do you sense? Is it peace? Joy? A quiet knowing that no matter what happens, you are safe, protected, and loved. That feeling is your compass. It's your guide. And the more you follow it, the more aligned you'll become with your mission. Your mission isn't a specific job, role, or task. It's a way of being. It's about bringing your light into everything you do, no matter how big or small. Whether you're creating art, raising a family, leading a movement, or simply smiling at a stranger, your light has the power to transform. You might not always see the impact you're having, but trust me, it's there. Every act of kindness, every moment of authenticity, every choice to love instead of fear sends ripples into the world. And those ripples are more powerful than you can imagine. But what about the times when you feel lost, disconnected, or overwhelmed? What about the moments when your light feels dim and you wonder if you've failed? Let me tell you something, even the brightest stars fade for a time. Even the strongest souls need rest. Being a chosen one doesn't mean you're immune to pain or struggle. It means you're willing to face those challenges and grow through them. So when you feel lost, don't judge yourself. Don't think of it as a failure. Instead, see it as an invitation to return to your light. One of the most powerful ways to stay connected to your light is to cultivate gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's lacking to what's abundant. It reminds you of all the ways the universe is supporting you, even when it doesn't feel like it. When you wake up in the morning, take a moment to say thank you for your breath, your body, your life. When challenges arise, look for the lesson, the growth, the hidden blessing. Gratitude isn't about ignoring the pain or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing to see the light, even in the darkest moments. As you walk your path, you'll notice something beautiful. The more you embrace your light, the more others will be drawn to it. Not because you're trying to convince them or change them, but because your energy speaks for itself. People will see the peace, the strength, the authenticity in you, and they'll want to know your secret. And this is where your true power lies, not in forcing others to see the light, but in simply being the light. But let me be clear, not everyone will understand you. Some will resist your light, not because they're bad or wrong, but because they're not ready to face their own shadows. And that's okay. Your mission isn't to be liked or accepted by everyone. It's to stay true to yourself, no matter what. Remember, the brightest lights cast the longest shadows. The more you shine, the more you'll stir up both admiration and resistance. Don't let either define you. So how do you keep going when the world feels heavy? When the shadows feel overwhelming and you wonder if your light is enough, you remind yourself of this: you are here for a reason. You are not alone. And no matter how dark it gets, your light can never be extinguished. Evil can't touch you because your light isn't something external. It's not something you can lose or break. It's who you are. And as long as you remember that, you are unstoppable. The world is waiting for you, not for a perfect version of you, but for the real you. The you that shines even when it's hard, that loves even when it's scary, and that keeps going even when the path feels uncertain. That's what it means to be a chosen one. That's what it means to be untouchable. So step into your light. Own it. Live it. And watch as the world begins to transform, not because you force it to, but because your very presence reminds it of what's possible. You are the proof that light always wins. And nothing, no darkness, no fear, no evil, can ever take that away.